I still remember the sound of the laughter that night. Sharp, brittle, and short-lived. The kind that dies in the air before it even feels real. It was supposed to be a fun evening. Just a small dinner with friends, our friends, people we'd known for years. The house smelled of grilled chicken and garlic butter. The candles flickered over half-empty glasses of wine. And for a while, everything felt normal. Until I said something I can never take back. Ethan, my husband, was telling one of his usual stories. How his friend Jake got them both into trouble during a fishing trip years ago. Jake, tall and broad-shouldered, was sitting right across from me, smirking at every exaggerated detail Ethan threw in. When Ethan joked about how Jake always had to show off, I laughed too hard. Too long. Maybe to hide my nerves. Maybe to deflect the guilt that was quietly eating me alive. And then, before I even realized what I was saying, the words slipped out of my mouth. Well, Jake is bigger than you, so maybe he's allowed to show off. The table went silent. I felt the blood drain from my face. My own voice echoed in my ears. I tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out forced, shaky. Jake's smile faltered. His eyes darted toward Ethan. Ethan froze, wine glass halfway to his lips, his gaze locking on me like I'd just spoken another language. Then he set the glass down with a quiet clink that sounded far too loud in the silence. His voice, when it came, was calm. Come. How do you know that, Claire? The room spun. Everyone else looked away, pretending not to notice. Jake muttered something about needing air and practically fled to the backyard. But Ethan didn't move. He just stared at me, waiting. And in that moment I knew. He already suspected. That night, after everyone left, the silence in our house felt like a punishment. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just sat in the living room chair, hands clasped together, watching me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Say something, I whispered. I'm waiting for the truth, he said. I felt tears burning my eyes. It was just a stupid joke. I didn't mean anything. He stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. You don't joke about that, Claire. Not like that. Not when it might be true. His words hit me like a slap. I wanted to scream, to deny it, to make it go away. But my silence did the talking for me. He saw it. He felt it. And something in him broke. 3 months earlier, I had crossed a line I swore I never would. It started harmlessly enough. Ethan was working late, always tired, always distracted. Jake had recently gone through a breakup and started visiting more often, helping with little things around the house, fixing the door hinges, setting up the new grill. He was charming in that casual, effortless way that made people comfortable. He made me laugh, and after a while, those laughs turned into long conversations. Then subtle touches. Then something else entirely. One night, after Ethan canceled yet another dinner, Jake stayed longer than he should have. 1 glass of wine turned into 2. Then he kissed me, and I didn't stop him. It only happened once. Once was enough to destroy everything. Afterward, the guilt was unbearable. I told myself it was a mistake, that I'd never speak of it again. Jake and I avoided each other, careful, distant. But the tension lingered like smoke after a fire. And now, because of one careless joke, Ethan knew. He didn't say much for the next few days. He went to work as usual, came home late, ate in silence and slept on the couch. The distance between us felt wider than ever. Then one evening he asked me to sit down. I talked to Jake, he said simply. My heart stopped. He admitted it. Ethan continued, his tone flat. Said it only happened once, that you were drinking, that it didn't mean anything. But that doesn't really matter, does it? I started crying, the kind of cry that comes from somewhere deep and raw. Ethan, I'm sorry. I swear it was a mistake. I hated myself for it. I love you. He cut me off, his voice trembling with restrained rage. You love me. You slept with my best friend, Claire. You don't get to use that word anymore. He stood up, pacing. Do you know how humiliating it was to look him in the eye? To hear him tell me details I didn't even want to know. I told you it was. Stop saying it was a mistake, he snapped. You made a choice. You had a husband who would have done anything for you, and you threw it away because you were bored. Covered my face, sobbing. I didn't mean to hurt you. He looked at me for a long time, eyes hollow. You didn't just hurt me. You killed something in me. Then he left the room. Days passed. Then weeks. Ethan stopped talking to me entirely, except for practical things. Bills, chores, the occasional short text. He stopped wearing his wedding ring. Jake moved out of town, probably to escape the mess. I didn't blame him. I tried everything, therapy, letters, apologies, but Ethan had become someone else. A ghost of himself. Calm, distant, unreadable. One night, I found him in the garage, staring at an old photo of the three of us from a camping trip years ago. His eyes were red, but his expression was stone. Why did you stay? I asked softly. If you hate me so much, why not leave? He set the photo down and looked at me. Because part of me still wanted to understand why. Why what? Why someone who said she loved me could do something like that? Had no answer. A month later, I woke up to find a manila envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside were divorce papers and a short note in Ethan's handwriting. I tried to forgive you, but every time I look at you, I see the moment you chose him. I can't live in that memory anymore. I stared at the paper for a long time, my tears blurring the words. It wasn't rage I felt, it was emptiness. Like the world had gone quiet. I signed the papers the next day. The months that followed were a blur. I moved into a small apartment downtown, started going to therapy, tried to piece myself together. Sometimes late at night I'd scroll through old photos. Our wedding, our vacations, the small candid moments. I'd stare at Ethan's smile, realizing it had always reached his eyes back then. The guilt never faded. Then, one evening about a year later, I ran into him at a coffee shop. He looked better, lighter. The shadows under his eyes were gone. There was a calmness to him I hadn't seen in years. Hey, I said awkwardly. He nodded, polite but distant. Claire. We stood there in silence until I asked, how have you been? Good, he said simply. Then after a pause, I'm seeing someone. My heart tightened, but I forced a smile. That's good. You deserve that. He hesitated. I wasn't going to say anything, but I forgave you, you know. Not for you, just for myself. I needed to let go. I swallowed hard. Thank you. He gave me a sad smile. Take care of yourself, Claire. And then he left, walking out into the sunlight, leaving me standing there with a paper cup and a heart full of ghosts. Sometimes I replay that night, the dinner, the laughter, the silence that followed my stupid joke. I think about the way his voice broke when he asked, how do you know? And I realize it wasn't just a question. It was the sound of everything we'd built collapsing in a single heartbeat. Months later, I heard from a mutual friend that Ethan proposed to the woman he was dating. Her name was Lily. I saw a photo online. Her hand resting on his arm, both of them smiling under the golden light of sunset. Cried that night. Not because I wanted him back, but because I finally understood something painful and true. You can't undo betrayal. You can apologize, regret, rebuild. But once trust is broken, something fundamental dies. Ethan had every reason to leave. Every reason to stop loving me. And he did. But in a strange, bittersweet way, I was glad. Glad that he found peace. That he could smile again without bitterness weighing him down. As for me, I learned to live with silence. To sit with my guilt without drowning in it. Sometimes when I pass by a mirror, I barely recognize the woman staring back. She looks older, softer, quieter. Someone who learned too late what it means to destroy something pure. And on the nights when the guilt creeps back, when I hear his voice in my mind asking that same question, I whisper the only answer I never gave him out loud. I knew, Ethan, because I was too weak to stop it. And then, just like that night at the dinner table, the silence answers back. Only this time, it's not his silence. It's mine.